For over 30 years, the heavy iron doors of Miller's Auto Repair opened at exactly 6 o'clock every morning. And every single morning, the first person to step through them was Samuel. To the rest of the city, Samuel was completely invisible. He was a man of few words, his face lined with the deep creases of time, hard labor, and decades of breathing in exhaust fumes and motor oil. He wore the same faded blue overalls every day, patched up at the knees, and drove a battered, rusty 1994 pickup truck that screeched whenever it turned a corner. The younger mechanics at the shop openly mocked him. To them, Samuel was a cautionary tale, a living warning of what happens when you fail in life. They spent their lunch breaks talking about their big dreams, trading crypto, and planning how they would leave this greasy garage behind to become rich. Meanwhile, Samuel would sit alone in the corner, eating a simple homemade sandwich from a plastic container, listening to their laughter without ever uttering a single complaint. They assumed he was trapped here by poverty, desperate for every hour of minimum wage just to keep his old truck running. The uneasy peace of the garage was shattered on a Tuesday afternoon. The roar of a high-performance engine echoed down the street as a brand-new metallic black luxury sports car aggressively pulled into the shop's driveway. Out stepped a young man named Richard. He was wearing an expensive tailored suit, a gold watch that gleamed in the light, and an expression of pure disgust as he looked around the greasy workshop. Richard was a wealthy real estate developer who believed that money made him superior to everyone else. He had run over a sharp piece of metal on the highway, ruining one of his custom, high-end performance tires. He demanded immediate service, shouting for the manager and making it clear that his time was worth thousands of dollars a minute. The shop owner, anxious to please such a wealthy client, looked around frantically for his best worker, and his eyes landed straight on Samuel. The shop owner quickly called Samuel over, introducing him as the most experienced mechanic in the garage. But Richard didn't care about experience. He looked down at Samuel's grease-stained overalls and worn-out boots with a sneer. "You're putting this old man on my car," Richard snapped loudly. "This vehicle costs more than you'll make in 3 lifetimes, old man. Don't touch anything you can't afford to replace." The younger mechanics gathered around, smirking and whispering, eager to see Samuel humiliated. But Samuel didn't say a word. He didn't get angry and he didn't argue. He simply gave a quiet nod, picked up his heavy iron jack, and knelt down on the cold concrete floor to begin changing the tire, completely ignoring the insults. Just as Samuel finished tightening the final bolt on the luxury sports car, the glass doors of the showroom slid open. A tall man dressed in a sharp, expensive designer suit walked into the garage, flanked by 2 bodyguards. Richard's eyes lit up. He immediately recognized the man as Mr. Sterling, a legendary multi-billionaire tech mogul and the city's most powerful investor. Eager to network and show off, Richard smoothed his jacket and hurried over with a big smile, holding out his hand. "Mr. Sterling, what an absolute honor to meet you, sir," Richard bragged loudly, making sure the entire garage could hear him. But Mr. Sterling didn't even glance at Richard's extended hand. He walked right past him, stepped over to the greasy concrete floor, and stood directly in front of Samuel. Samuel, who had just stood up, wrench still in his hand, looked calmly at Mr. Sterling. The powerful billionaire reached out and grasped Samuel's oil-stained hand in a firm, meaningful handshake. He then warmly placed his other hand on Samuel's grease-stained shoulder, smiling with genuine affection.
"It's good to see you, old friend," Sterling said, his voice quiet, contradicting his immense power. "You are still the best mechanic in the country." In the background, Richard stood frozen, his eyes wide and jaw slacked in total disbelief. He realized that the greasy old man he had just insulted was respected by the most powerful investor in the city.
Mr. Sterling turned his head slightly, his warm smile vanishing as his cold, sharp eyes locked onto Richard. "I couldn't help but hear how you spoke to my friend earlier," Sterling said coldly, his voice echoing through the silent garage. "Samuel here built the foundation of my entire tech empire alongside me decades ago. He chooses to work here because he loves the craft, not because he needs your approval." Richard opened his mouth to apologize, sweating profusely, but Sterling simply raised a hand to silence him. Turning back to Samuel with a smile, Sterling said, "Let's go grab that lunch, old friend." As they walked out together, the remaining mechanics turned to Richard, smirking at his complete humiliation. Richard stood alone next to his luxury car, finally realizing that respect is earned through humility, not a fancy suit. If you loved Samuel's story, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.